Ever wondered if your life is like already mapped out? Or, if maybe some ancient prophecies could actually explain the chaos we see today? We're going to dive into a really fascinating case. There's this modern figure, right, who claims an ancient Indian oracle, holds the keys to his life, world events, even big political shifts. So, our mission today is basically to unpack the story of Craig Hamilton Parker and this thing called the Nadi Shastra. What are these palm leaf prophecies? How are they supposed to work? And honestly, what kind of incredible claims are we talking about here? Stuff about personal destiny, presidential fates?
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it, how these very old ideas about fate and destiny bump up against modern media, political commentary. It gives you a different sort of lens to look at current events through.
Okay, so let's start with Craig Hamilton Parker himself. His journey. He claims he's had psychic ability since he was a kid.
Right, innate abilities.
And there was apparently this pivotal prophecy from the British medium Doris Stokes. It supposedly foretold his marriage to his wife Jane, even the exact date they'd meet.
Which is quite specific.
Very. And this whole idea of a preordained path, it seemed to get stronger later on. He had this big business failure, his website psychics.co.uk, which was pretty pioneering back then.
Right, a major setback.
And that failure became the catalyst, the thing that pushed him towards this journey to India.
And if you look at how his story is presented, it's often framed, as him being a sort of reluctant prophet.
Reluctant.
Yeah, like he was pushed by destiny, not really driven by ambition.
Yeah.
And that narrative, well, it definitely helps build credibility for the later claims he makes, especially about the Nadi Oracle. It makes it seem more authentic, maybe.
Okay, so let's talk about the Nadi Shastra itself. What exactly is it?
Well, fundamentally, it's this ancient Indian tradition. It revolves around palm leaves, inscribed thousands of years ago by really revered sages, figures like the Saptarishis.
Wow, thousands of years.
Exactly. And these leaves, they supposedly contain the life patterns, the sort of destinies of countless souls.
Countless souls. So how on earth do you find your specific leaf and all that?
Ah, that's the crucial part. The process is actually quite rigorous. First, you give a thumbprint. It's the right thumb for men, left for women. That helps categorize you.
Okay.
Then, a Nadi reader, they call them a Guruji, starts asking you a series of yes or no questions. But they're incredibly specific questions.
Like what?
Things like your parents' names, your spouse's name, maybe very private details about past events in your life, things nobody else should really know.
So it's like a process of elimination.
Exactly. It's iterative. It can apparently take hours going through different bundles of leaves until they find one that just perfectly matches all your specific details.
That's intense, but here's where it gets really interesting for me. Once they find the leaf, it doesn't just tell you your destiny.
No, it can also suggest what are called parihanam. These are basically remedies.
Remedies, like what, rituals?
Yeah, rituals, specific actions you can take, maybe charitable acts, things designed to sort of mitigate negative karmic influences or challenges shown on the leaf.
So wait, it's a pre-written life, but you potentially have the power to change bits of it. That feels like a paradox.
It absolutely is. A pre-written destiny, yet somehow the possibility of altering it. It's fascinating.
Okay, so back to Hamilton Parker. He talks about his own Nadi reading, right?
Yes, quite vividly.
He says he tried to remain anonymous, didn't give his name, but the reader still identified all these intimate details.
Apparently so. Things like his first wife's name, Tina, his current wife, Jane, his parents' names, Donald, Ethel, Vicky, even his precise birth details.
Wow, okay, I can see how that would be convincing.
For him, it seems it really cemented his belief. And the reading also supposedly revealed his life's mission, as he puts it, to predict future world events.
Which is a pretty big mission.
Definitely. And remember, this validation came when he was at a pretty low point after his business failure. So for him, it was powerful proof. But the claims, they go way beyond just his personal life.
Right, like the claims about Donald Trump.
Exactly. Apparently, a Nadi leaf was found for Trump.
And what did it say?
It supposedly described a past life where he was a high-ranking Hindu priest who became corrupt. Stealing temple wealth was the phrase used.
And that's presented as a sort of a karmic reason for his public persona now.
That's the interpretation given, yes. A karmic echo. And Hamilton Parker actually predicted publicly back in 2019 that there would be an assassination attempt on Trump.
He predicted that, based on the Nadi.
Yes, claiming the Nadi indicated Trump would be, quote, injured but not killed.
And then the event in July 2024 happened.
Right, where a bullet reportedly grazed Trump's ear.
Right.
That event is now presented by Hamilton Parker as the fulfillment of that Nadi prediction.
Though you mentioned sources say that specific detail of the grays might be a bit of a embellishment after the fact.
Correct. Our sources suggest that specific detail about the ear grays seems to have emerged after the event, not explicitly predicted beforehand in that exact way. It's important context.
So Trump is framed in this narrative as what? Some kind of cosmic instrument.
Essentially, yes. Someone destined to shake up the old order, break things down, to make way for a new golden age.
Okay. And then there's the story about his grandson, Damien. That one sounds really personal and quite dramatic.
It is. Damien was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And according to Hamilton Parker, a special type of nadi reading called a jiva nadi.
Jiva nadi, what's that?
It's described as a living oracle. Apparently the answers materialize on a blank leaf as the reading happens.
No. Okay.
And this jiva nadi reportedly predicted Damien would die before he turned 5 if nothing was done.
That's terrifying.
Absolutely. But the oracle also prescribed a remedy. It involved meeting a living saint, someone named Sharavana Baba.
And did he meet him?
Yes, Hamilton Parker sought him out, met him. And the claim is that after following the prescribed remedy, his grandson is now healthy and thriving. His fate supposedly rewritten.
That's quite a claim. Rewriting fate.
It really is. And what's so striking is how these incredibly personal stories, like with his grandson, are woven together with these huge political predictions, like about Trump.
Yeah, it creates this sort of coherent spiritual framework for understanding events that otherwise seem totally disconnected, doesn't it?
Exactly. It provides a narrative, a meaning behind it all.
So let's talk about his overall track record then. He gets a lot of attention for prediction hits, right? Things like Brexit, Trump winning in 2016.
Those are the big ones people point to. He also claimed he foresaw the COVID-19 pandemic, calling it a flu pandemic.
But there have been misses, too, haven't there?
Oh, definitely. His prediction for the 2020 U.S. election, for example, was incorrect. And, like with many prophecies, there's often a certain ambiguity. Functional ambiguity, meaning...
Meaning they're sometimes phrased in a way that allows for interpretation after the fact. You can kind of retroactively fit events to match the prediction.
Right, okay. That makes sense.
But beyond the accuracy question, you have to ask, why are these prophecies so compelling? Why do they resonate with people?
Good question. What do you think? Well, I think a big part of the appeal lies in the bigger picture Hamilton Parker paints. This idea that humanity is in this major transition, moving out of a dark age, the Kali Yuga.
Which is seen as an age of conflict and decline in Hindu cosmology.
Exactly. And moving towards a bright Satya Yuga, an age of truth, harmony, a golden age.
So all the chaos we see now.
Isn't random noise, according to this view? It's the necessary disruption, the sort of birth pangs of this new, better era. And that perspective, well, it can offer a lot of comfort and meaning, especially when times feel uncertain or scary.
Yeah, I can see that. It gives a sense of purpose, maybe, to difficult times. So whether you look at all this as, genuine divine revelation or perhaps a really skillfully constructed narrative, the whole phenomenon around Craig Hamilton Parker and the Nadi Oracle, it really does shine a light on something deep within us, doesn't it?
It really does.
That enduring human need for meaning, for certainty, and maybe that comforting idea that our lives, even the messy parts, are part of some larger sacred story that's already been written.
Which brings up a final thought, really. If destiny is pre-written, does the very act of seeking it out, trying to understand it through something like the Nadi, or even trying to change it with those remedies, does that just become another part of the script itself?
Are our attempts to know or change fate just faded all along? That's definitely something to think about.